When Emperor Palpatine first erected the Galactic Empire in place of the Fallen Republic, he had at his back one of the most powerful and efficient fighting forces that the galaxy had ever known. Genetically engineered from the perfect biological host, the clones were some of the most elite soldiers that the galaxy could have asked for, and fought valiantly throughout the course of the Clone Wars conflict. As the Empire rose to prominence, however, clones began to be phased out of the Imperial military in favor of conscripted soldiers drawn from the general public, with Tarkin almost immediately severing the ties with Kamino shortly after Palpatine's rise to power. And with the release of the Bad Batch trailer, we have more information as to exactly why this is. But again, this begs the question, why would Palpatine elect to discard some of the most elite and talented fighters in the galaxy in favor of regular, everyday civilians? Why did Sidious shut down the Kamino and cloning operation and begin to discontinue the use of the clones in the army? After all, the clones were genetically optimal, talented, and experienced soldiers who didn't require any more training. Well, stick with us today, weary acolytes of the galaxy, and let's dive into why the clones were ultimately disbanded. Thanks to the recent trailer for Season 2 of The Bad Batch, we know that there are rumors of other clones beginning to question the Empire, which likely serves as one of the reasons. But we don't believe it's the only explanation, or even the most significant one, but we'll cover more factors in just a moment. Right now, let's talk about this line in particular from the trailer. For years, clones fought alongside the Jedi, who were widely regarded as noble paragons of virtue across the stars, fighting for the freedom of the galaxy and the security of all systems. While the Jedi were certainly flawed, their goals always remained consistent: to end the war and restore peace to the galaxy, a mission with which the clones sympathized very closely. When the Empire rose in its place, however, certain orders began to arise which deviated from the views of the Jedi in the previous Republic. Orders that were driven by more oppressive agendas, targeting specific races, and issuing unjust punishments that didn't fit the crimes committed. Slowly, the clones went from fighting for liberation to fighting to control the unrest within the Empire through fear rather than that of hope. And this would have been a severe point of contention for many clone troopers. If more and more clones are seeing the Empire for what it truly is, then the disconnect between clones and the Empire might have been perpetuated by more and more deviants. It would also paint the clones in a bad light, as clone loyalty could not be trusted if more and more were becoming weary of the Empire, and it would therefore make more sense to eliminate clones as the face of the Imperial military sooner rather than later. It would also help to sever ties from the Galactic Republic, illustrating that the Empire was its own entity, and that the Republic was truly dead. But this doesn't answer why Grand Moff Tarkin was so quick to discontinue the cloning program. Cody's line in the trailer in particular about the clones questioning orders took place long after Kamino was already abandoned, and while Palpatine needed clones during the early days, Grand Moff Tarkin wasted little time decommissioning the Kamino project and abandoning their cloning endeavors, likely to not only set the Empire apart from the Republic, but win over the public's good graces. One of the most powerful tools of control that Palpatine employed during his days as a ruler was public support and morale. As a new leader who had swooped in to replace a failed government, he had to establish credibility and win over the good graces of the populace as soon as possible. By employing stormtroopers, Palpatine almost immediately employed a huge portion of the galaxy that had been suffering over the war, giving them jobs, places to stay, and food to eat in the aftermath of the Clone Wars, which is actually a strong point made by Season 1 of The Bad Batch. Most stormtroopers were not inherently bad people on an individual level, and many of them were given jobs that entailed arresting criminals for their crimes. From their perspective, they were simply police officers tasked with keeping the galaxy safe, and it took a while for the Empire to show its true intentions. After the collapse of the Republic, being a stormtrooper would have been an incredibly appealing job opportunity, and this would have helped gain Palpatine a considerable amount of public favor almost immediately. The people of the galaxy were in the midst of picking up the pieces left behind by the Clone Wars, with dozens of worlds having been ravaged by the war. Many people lost their livelihoods in the process, and were likely very happy to enlist as stormtroopers in order to feed their families, which would have given Palpatine a significant boost in notoriety and immediate trust. Regardless of which side a civilian might have supported, the fact still remains that clones and droids were responsible for ravaging dozens of worlds, and keeping clones around would have served as a constant reminder of the calamity that ensued. Many people likely would not have trusted the clones if they served as foot soldiers after the war, as they were the very same entities responsible for the destruction of the galaxy to begin with. With this fresh start, Palpatine could put a new public face on the Empire that separated it from the Republic, telling the public that he was different, he was better, and that he would take care of them. He proved to them that he would give them jobs, assist in reconstruction of their homeworlds, and he would be a good Samaritan. This initial public trust is what helped the Empire to become so successful, as the galaxy had grown weary of both the Republic as well as the Separatists alike. They couldn't trust either side simply because both were responsible for horrible actions, and they needed something entirely new to step in and give them a modicum of grace. Palpatine knew this. He understood how to manipulate the goodwill of the people to strengthen his own agenda, and he exploited them from day one. But going back to this line from the trailer, this is actually a brand new addition, as many people were unsure how the clone troopers actually felt following Order 66. We know that the clone troopers became far more droid-like and far more malicious following the activation of the inhibitor chips, but as we learned from Season 1 of the Clone Wars, not all of the troopers felt this way, and a clone uprising was actually very possible based off of this information as well as information garnered from Season 1 of Bad Batch. In Star Wars Legends, there were in fact clone uprisings, and clone troopers that supported their Jedi and gave their lives to protect the Jedi till the very end. However, this is a completely brand new addition to Star Wars canon, and this could have been one of the major reasons why Darth Sidious actually decided to get rid of the clones. What's also unique about this is Darth Sidious would likely go, and will likely go throughout Season 2, to great lengths to ensure that the clone troopers remain loyal or are completely destroyed, or at least remain long enough for him to get rid of them, which I believe will be Palpatine and Sidious's overarching plot in the Bad Batch Season 2, and the fact that not all of the clone troopers, despite the activation of the inhibitor chips, were completely loyal to the Empire following the end of Revenge of the Sith. But anyway, my friends, what are your thoughts on this major, brand new addition to Star Wars canon and the decommission of the clones? Do you believe that this was one of the primary factors why Darth Sidious decided to get rid of the clone troopers as quickly as possible? And what are your thoughts to this addition to Star Wars lore? As always, my friends, thank you guys so much for watching and continuing to support the channel. May the Force be with you, and have a great day.